Hello and welcome back. Time to do another review of another book. I just got done reading The Sirens of Titan. I'm a little embarrassed that I had never read this one. Kurt Vonnegut is probably, if not his most famous book, it's definitely one of his most famous books. It was on Thomas Frank's best fantasy books to read. And I'd never read it, so I thought, well, I looked up some of the reviews, and everybody says it was amazing. And a lot of the times, I don't like some books, quite a few books that a lot of people think are amazing. They just have things that have great characters usually, poor plots. I really like good plots. But I'm rather amazed, pleasantly surprised with Sirens of Titan. I understand now why Vonnegut was so not powerful, but why he was so popular. Excellent book. Vonnegut's black humor comes through, and I'm realizing more and more that I identify with black humor. I get it. If it's got black humor in it, it's more realistic. I think a lot of humanity is black, and so when you make fun of it like Vonnegut does in this book, it gets it fits. It sits really well. It fits really well. It really worked. Definitely something that if you like science fiction, fantasy, it's must read. It very well could be one of the top 10 books in science fiction and fantasy written of all time. I'll have to think about if it's going to be in my top 10 list, maybe read it a couple more times, but it's worth reading. It's an excellent book. From this point on, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, so spoiler alert. The main story is about Malachi Constant, and his dad had this crazy way of trading in the stock market to make his millions, and it was just the humor of it to me was kind of making fun of the stock market, because the way he made his millions is he'd just go to the Bible and he would pick the letter in order in the Bible, and then whatever letter was the next letter in the Bible, he went and he used that to choose some stock, and he'd keep it until it doubled, and then he just kept doing that, and he made his millions. To me, that was kind of a mockery of the stock market and how much it is gambling in many instances to the people that don't have probably insider information for a lot of it, or at least more information than most people will have the time to gather when doing the stock market. But he's the luckiest man on earth. He's the richest man on earth. And the main theme through the whole book is it questions whether fate, manipulates our lives, whether we actually have choices in our lives, and questions it. And the second main character, the character that's manipulating Constance, is Rumford, and he went out into space with his dog and went into, I can't remember what it was, some kind of anomaly out in space as he was heading to Mars in his spaceship, and he got turned into a wave particle that's bouncing around between the sun and Betelgeuse, and whenever him as a wave particle intersects with a planet, then he appears on that planet for a little bit, and it also lets him see through time. He's no longer bound by time, and so his whole goal after this happens, the whole book, he's manipulating to create this church, and it was an awesome church. What was the name of that? It was, as soon as he said it once again, it was black humor, and I loved it. Church of God, the utterly indifferent. So just the name of the church will let you know some of the black humor and what's in store for you in the book. And he manipulates Constance and his ex-wife Beatrice. And usually I don't like, I never like when the story doesn't make sense. But when he was manipulating, he's got a goal. He's got a reason. It explains why he's doing it. He's an ass. In the book, he's creating this church, and he does it by kidnapping people from all the countries of the world, training them on Mars, making them robots by putting implants in their heads so that they have no free will, and then sends them against the Earth, purposely badly equipped, horrible plans. And at first, when I realized that there's spaceships coming against Earth, and it always bugged me because the idea of if the Earth doesn't have spaceships and we were invaded by somebody with the technology of spaceships, the idea that we're going to win is pretty absurd. That happens in several books, and I just have to roll my eyes. But in this one, it happens, but there is an excellent explanation of why it happens. And it was because he planned it that way. It was supposed to fail. All the soldiers come down and they just get slaughtered. And he explains to the Earth. He comes, and he creates this religion. He's like, you've been invaded by this other world, and that's shaking you all up, and it's made you realize, wow, there's more out there. We're in danger. We need to bond together. And here's a church, the Church of God, the utterly indifferent, that you can all believe in, and I will show you miracles. And he uses his power to create the church and unify the entire world, which I'm torn. I found myself loving it because it was so believable. The way he manipulated humanity, the way he used religion to manipulate humanity, the way he used tragedy to manipulate humanity. It fits with the human condition, the way humans have reacted throughout history. He had to sacrifice these 80,000, 100,000, I can't remember how many humans to get the Earth to unify. And then through it all, he'd set up and he'd preached how the most horrible human in existence was Malachi Constance. And Malachi Constance was one of the soldiers that had been kidnapped. And a big plot point was when Malachi, because he has this implant in his head, he has no free will. He can't even remember. His memories have been manipulated. He's told to choke a guy to death. And the guy that he choked to death was his best friend, his only friend in the entire world. And when he's doing it, he has no idea. His memories have been wiped. Later on, his friend whispers in his ear as he's choking him, look under the blue rock, and he goes and he gets this list, and this helps him to remember some of the things that him and this friend were trying to figure out and trying to get their memories back and trying to fight against this mental implant. And the whole time, Rumsford, that created this, that was doing all this, is manipulating him. He's doing it on purpose. He gets back to Earth. Well, even before he went, I need to go back a little bit. I loved how, before he left, he lost all of his money. He's told by his lawyers he's about to be sued. He's gonna probably even go to jail. And Rumsford had sent a couple of his agents to go to him and say, we got a spaceship. Why don't you come and live in luxury on Mars? We got this really cool position from you. And he's just like, I'm there. And I was just like, I wanted to say, you idiot, but at the same time, no. That's exactly how so many humans react, especially when you're facing jail time, and their promises, and the way they approach them, the way that Vonnegut did it was superb. He created a situation you completely believe why Malachi would do it. Um, the other people there all being manipulated. You see how they get manipulated. It's done so well. I try to take notes, and I make notes of things that I hate, and I'm looking over my notes, and there is not a single note in this entire book.
Quick editing. I needed a new ending for Sirens of Titan. Just wanted to touch base and talk about the ending of Sirens of Titan. Rumford, he's such a prick. He saw everything. He manipulated. He lied to Malachi through everything. And Malachi finally puts things together and makes it back to Earth. The robot that was on Sirens, that was on Titan, with him, decides that he's not going to commit suicide and comes back. Says, can I drop you off on Earth? He's like, yeah. And he's like, where do you want me to drop you off? And he's like, I want you to drop me off in Indianapolis. Why? And he says, because Indianapolis was the first place that they hung a white man for having killed an Indian. And that's the kind of place I want to be. And until you know the backstory and you find out that Highland was from Indianapolis, you don't realize what that really signifies, that he was just, kind of honoring his hometown. But in the book, that's the reason that Malachi wants to go back, and so he gets dropped off in Indianapolis, and the bus it's wintertime, and it's only going to be 10 minutes before the bus comes. But because it's wintertime, the buses are running 2 hours late, and he freezes to death. Within 3 hours of being dropped off back on Earth, Malachi's dead. Once again, the Highlands' black humor. He makes it back to Earth, and he dies. I liked the ending. Malachi kind of deserved it. Everybody in this book was a jerk. Supposedly the human race, because of these manipulations, gets united, even though they've got a religion where everybody's still following these ideas that were created, which I guess is just human nature, to get the vast majority of the human race is in the lowest common denominator and does follow, wants, most humans want to follow something. So if you can give them something, you have to make something for the masses to follow. So it makes sense. Heinlein is really good at it. Excellent book. If you enjoy science fiction at all, you really need to read Sirens of Titan. Let me know what you think. Everybody, I guess, live long and prosper, except for you, Robert Jordan. You can eat rocks. Everybody else, you have a good one.